Hey.
How are you?
Hey there. How are you?
Good. We're trying to get this straight. Okay.
You look
And
great.
gotta get the census poster in the frame.
Oh, yeah, there
There.
you go. I see it. Say yes to the census. Well, let me do a brief introduction, and then I would love for you to tell us a little bit about what you do, because some people may not even know. But joining us today is Judge Lina Hildago, who is the Harris County Judge. And for those who don't know, what does the Harris County Judge do? Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes. So my title is county judge, but it is not a judge in any sense of the word. My job is actually that of an executive. So Harris County, home to Houston, 33 cities in addition to Houston. I'm not going to name them all, and unincorporated areas. So our population is the size of the state of Colorado. We are larger than 26 states, and so your county is in charge of roads, bridges, flood control, the hospital system, the public hospital system, all the courts, and we do that through a 5-member commissioners court, which I chair. So I'm the county executive. My title is county judge, but really my role is that of an executive to help manage a $5 billion annual budget. And during times of emergency, I'm the emergency manager for the county, which is why folks have been seeing me on TV around the coronavirus crisis. And when we had the ITC fire last year, during Imelda, that's why, I crop up along with Mayor Turner.
Very good. Yeah, I was just thinking, you just recently took office, was it last January? And boy, have you had your hands full in the last year and a half or so, working really hard for us. Make a lot of big decisions that are really uncomfortable and necessary decisions to make sure that you're keeping us safe, which we commend you for. And Judge Hildago will not brag on herself because she's not that type of person, but I'm going to go ahead and just real quickly brag that she is the first woman and the first Latina to be the Harris County Judge. She's a big deal. Okay. She's a big deal.
Well, it shouldn't taken that long, but yeah, I can't believe it's been over a year at this point, and it was the middle of the coronavirus, situation where it was the anniversary of the ITC fire, where we had this plume, all throughout our county, and anyway, it's been fire, 2 floods, explosion, but it's such a big county, and we're a wonderful community, and it all pulls together, so we're just doing that again.
Well, we are talking today about the census. And so first things first, just tell us, why is the census so important for us to fill out?
Y'all, we are all staying at home, trying to avoid other people, and it's short-term, gains. It's basically trying to keep the spread of coronavirus from happening. But once coronavirus is just a memory, once we have stories to tell about our quarantine times and the time we stayed home and how hard it was on everyone, we're going to be rebuilding. We're going to be rebuilding our healthcare system, our economy. We're going to need rental assistance. We're going to need to get the schools back up. And all of that happens with federal funding. The funding is allocated according to census counts. And so right now we can actually, we can stay home for the short-term health and safety of the community. But if we want to look out for the long-term health and safety of the community, we need to be filling out the census. And in a way, it's a competition across jurisdictions. So it's hundreds of millions of dollars that are allocated every year to key services, to local governments, and they're allocated according to population.
Yeah. Now, when you say public services, can you just give us an idea of some of the services that are funded because of the information in the census?
Yeah, all kinds of things. I mean, our public schools receive funds according to census counts. Our public hospitals as well receive funds according to that. Funds for transportation, be it roads or be it public transit programs like the Children's Health Insurance Program, all of these kinds of resources, and even post-disaster. So after Hurricane Harvey, after Imelda, we received some federal support from the Housing and Urban Development Department, and those funds even are allocated oftentimes according to population. So if, post coronavirus, renters are looking for rental assistance, and there's other needs that our community has, it's going to look back at what our population is.
Yeah. This may be a question that you can or can't answer, I don't know, but why is the census decennial? Why is it every 10 years? Like, it seems like for it to be such a big deal, every 10 years, there's so many things that change over that big period of time.
Yeah, it's basically, it's in the Constitution. And so, the Constitution of the United States says every 10 years there will be, and I think the word they use something like, there will be an actual enumeration of the persons living in this country. And so, our founding fathers thought this up, and it's important. You just can't make decisions without knowing who all is here.
Yeah.
And, perhaps it could happen more often. It's a huge undertaking. But what it means is that it's really urgent. This is the last chance we have until 2030 to have an adequate count. All of these federal decisions, business decisions, businesses look at census counts to decide, how to target their markets. Academics, when they put out their papers, they look at census counts, and even political boundaries are drawn according to census counts. And so that we're going to have congressional districts be redrawn, all kinds of political districts be redrawn according to what the census finds this year, which is a huge deal. And so, we don't have another chance to affect this until 2030. So if you have an undercount in your community, you're going to have an undercount in services.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that's something I did not know until this year. And I've filled out the census before. I won't say how many times because you don't want to know my age. But I did not know that, we are allocating a certain amount of people to the state of representatives, right, from our state because of the census numbers. But how does that work?
Yeah, so, you want to have districts that are roughly equivalent in population. And so, if you don't count a certain area that's very densely populated, you're underrepresenting those people. You're basically giving only one congressperson, member of Congress, for folks that really should have more than one, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, and then of course those members of Congress are out making decisions that affect every aspect of our lives. So it's really hard to understate the importance of the census. Folks have asked me where it is on my priority list, and it touches everything. Number one for me is always health and safety. That's number one. But past that, it's hard to find something more important than making sure we get these millions and millions of dollars in resources and the adequate political boundaries that our community deserves.
Judge Hildago, there are communities who are scared to fill out the census, and they feel that once their information is out there, it's going to be used against them, or something can happen if people know how many people are in their houses. Can you assure the community that the census is safe and that you are protected when you fill out this information?
Yeah, first let me say it is safe. Now, we've all heard the attacks, and for the longest time, the Trump administration was trying to put a citizenship question in the census, so that was really scaring the Hispanic community, the immigrant community, and we fought. Harris County filed an amicus brief, many communities sued, and we won. And so there is no citizenship question, but in many ways, the damage has been done because people feel scared, and they feel that their information is going to be shared and it's going to be used against them. And I filled out the census a couple of days ago. First thing they ask you is your name, and then they ask you, I think, if you're Hispanic, then they ask you your race. So it gets pretty, you're like, wait, why this many questions? So first thing is, these questions have been asked for over 100 years, for as long as we've had a census, so they're standard. But most importantly, the law protects this data. folks are under penalty of prison, prison time, if they even attempt to share census data. All of that will be aggregated, and then the aggregate data will then be shared with, the political leaders who make the decisions as to redistricting, with the businesses, with the academics. But this information is safe, and the law very, very firmly protects that privacy of the data we're sharing with the census.
That's good. That's good. Now, when you took the census, you took it online, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is so easy. I took it also. It took me all of, I don't know, 8 minutes and 40 seconds to take the census. It was so simple. It's just a few questions. So it's nothing, because I know people hear surveys and they're like, oh my gosh. Like, and it's like, come on, y'all. We're at home. Oh, you better be at home, and you just need to do it. It's something that is just so very important. So the website where people can go to take the census?
It's my2020census.gov, but really you should have the website. You should have gotten a postcard with the website, and if you hadn't filled it out, you would have gotten a second postcard. That's where I felt bad. There you go. I was like, I got a second one, and I was like, I'm using, government resources to remind me, so let me just get this done.
Yes.
And it'll give you the website or even a phone number, if you'd rather do it over the phone. But basically just go on there and answer. It's very, very quick. And here's the bigger thing is, if you fill it out, we're not going to bother you about it for 10 years. You're not going to hear about it till 2030. If you don't fill it out, you see the yes to the census poster. The county's invested millions of dollars, city of Houston, to try and get people to answer their census, every locality around the country as well. And so they, folks are putting in resources. So you're going to keep getting calls. And, once coronavirus is over, you may get a knock on your door. Hey, please fill out the census. So, just get it out of the way.
Yes.
Fill it out. Takes 5 minutes. Be done with it. Out of mind for 10 years.
Yes. Real simple and easy. One last question. There was someone who asked this question, which I thought was a pretty good question. And it's not necessarily census related, but just during this time where you are having to be in front of everyone, it's stressful. I know if we're stressed, then you have to be stressed. People want to know, how are you caring for yourself?
Yeah, well, I really enjoy being outside. So I'm definitely one of the folks that is taking advantage of the parks and green spaces. I was in a park just on Sunday, and there was so many people, but socially distanced.
Yeah.
So nobody was playing sports together. It was just walking, 2 people or a 4-person family. You could tell as people that live under the same roof, and they were being so responsible. And so, I really enjoyed that exercise. Of course, the community keeps me going, and the beauty of this in a way is we are all in it together, and we all have the power, and each of us is necessary for us to get through coronavirus.
Yeah.
It can't just be, me or any other, political leader or healthcare leader. It's just impossible for us to do it alone. It takes every person, just deciding to stay home and making those sacrifices, and the sum of each one of our efforts is what's going to prevent this from getting worse and make sure that it gets over with faster.
Yes, do your part. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It is Census Day, so what better day to get your butts in front of your computer or on your phone and fill out the census. It's also available in other languages too. Where can people access that information if they need to go and hear it in a different language?
So if you go to my2020census.gov, you can pick a language, and they have like 30, I want to say 60. I mean, they have a lot of languages, and if there's one that you need, they will find it for you. They're really trying to make sure that language is not a barrier.
Very good, very good. I see people saying on here that they've completed their census.
Oh, good.
Good
Great.
job.
You got a text about it. Yeah. So we had all these people that were supposed to go and canvas, right? And we've got all the data folks looking at who's not responding, which neighborhoods, because if there's an apartment building, people live there. So why aren't we getting enough responses? So we were supposed to be sending out canvassers, but now they can't go because of coronavirus. So these folks, it's an army of of canvassers, they're sitting as phone bankers. So they'll call you or they will text you.
Yeah.
So like I said, just avoid that altogether
Yes.
and get it done.
Yes.
Get it done.
Oh, and one quick thing, I'm glad you said that too. Because there are the scammers that are out here. We keep hearing about it in the news that there are these people who are pretending to be census people. How do we know the difference?
Yeah, I mean, ask for identification from them, who are they with? And frankly, all they should be doing is reminding you. They shouldn't be filling out the census for
And
you.
they
And
shouldn't be
so that's
asking you for
really,
anything. You should not be handing
yeah.
them anything at all.
Exactly, exactly. So the census is something for you to fill out. If anyone is asking your personal information, they're not the census. The census is online
Yeah.
and my2020census.gov or on the phone number that's in your postcard. But that's about it. Now, eventually, folks who don't fill it out, they'll get a letter from the federal government where they can fill it out via mail, but it'll be very clear. It's
Very
an
good.
official census document.
Very
So
good.
folks will call to remind you, but nobody should be calling to fill your census out for you.
Good. Very good. Okay, Judge Hildago, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And we wish you the very best. Thank you for all that you are doing and serving our Harris County, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your work and for having me and fill out your census, everyone.
See ya. She's so awesome. Okay. Y'all good? Do we have any other questions? I can forward them along to her, but I think we got some good information there. We are focused. This interview was just to focus strictly on the census because it's Census Day. So she's taking just a couple of hours from the coronavirus work that she's doing just so that we can lock in and remind people how important it is to get these census filled out. It is actually, I saw this on one of the envelopes that came to my house, required by law. Like, this is what we're supposed to be doing, and it's so really crucial. If the census doesn't come back around until 2030, like, can you imagine not having funding for your neighborhoods, for certain services that you know are needed, all because people didn't fill out this form that takes a couple of minutes to fill out? So hopefully you're doing your part and you've already done it. Appreciate you guys for joining